ask you a question. What's your peace level like today? Are you living in peace or falling to pieces? Hey, I'm Mike Sherbino, but I'm excited to let you know that this week on The Perspective, Lorie Hartshorn is going to be our Bible teacher. She's going to be talking all week on the subject of peace. She is also going to be doing some amazing interviews with guests, as you well know, her incredible ability to draw out of people just incredible gems of wisdom that help us in this journey called life. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And here comes Lorie.
Well, thanks, Mike, and welcome to The Perspective. I'm Lorie, and it's going to be a great day today. My guest is Rebekah Lovell. She's an author, speaker, homeschool mom of two adventurous boys, and she and her husband, John, have been married 18 years and live on a homestead in Northwest Georgia. Rebekah has homeschooled for a decade now and is passionate about building strong family culture and helping boys thrive by understanding their God-given wiring for, catch this, adventure, purpose, and courage, what every boy needs. She's also the founder of the Outdoor Reading Club, a movement encouraging families to read great books and spend more time outdoors together. Her new book, Boyhood Resurrected, is all about igniting a revival of daring, heroic boys who know who they are and what they're made for. Let's meet Rebekah. Well, welcome to The Perspective, Rebekah. We are looking forward to a fresh perspective on raising boys.
Thank you. Yes, glad to be here.
Well, I have two boys, and I will soon have two grandsons. There's a lot of girls in our world as well, but boys have a unique design, and I know that this is your passion. What first opened your eyes to the crisis that boys are facing today, and what led you to write your book, Boyhood Resurrected?
Yeah, I think there is just a widespread belief in our culture that starts with young boys all the way up to grown men that masculinity is a toxic thing, and it's not. It's a God-given design that is one day going to have these young boys be protectors, providers, leaders of their family, and lovers as husbands and fathers. But it starts when they're young. There seems to be this idea that their energy, that their rough and tumble, just rambunctiousness is always a bad thing. I think boys do need to be respectful and be disciplined, but that energy for adventure, that desire to conquer and build and play, it is a very good thing that I think we need to nurture when they're young. If we miss it then, it's harder to get it back later.
I really appreciate you pointing that out. I'm a mom of two boys. I've been a teacher for many years, and I always said the classroom was never built for boys. Uh, but what is underneath that belief is that masculinity is toxic. Tell us more about that, because I do think that is the root of it.
hmm Well, you nailed it when you said the classroom wasn't built for boys. I think there's just this whole design lately that school is set for girls, that they can sit still longer, they can listen longer, and just after a 7 or 8 hour day, the lights in a boy's eyes just go out. Eventually, their soul is crushed. Sadly, a lot of classrooms are resulting to medicating their boys. There's just not a way to manage them, I think, that is productive. So we need to make allowances for boys that they can get their energy out, before or after school, or just see that they are getting that ability to conquer, to build, to take risks, to be challenged in a good way. They weren't meant for worksheets. They weren't meant for just hours of listening and lecture and feedback. A lot of times they're kinetic learners. So if they're moving while they're listening, or they're playing a lot in between shorter lessons, this is a better way to teach boys.
Well, I think you've hit it right on the head. I mean, kinetic learning, and not all boys are the same, but
Right.
there does need to be a let me make something, let me experience something, let me build something. And whether it's hands-on or not, or perhaps a deep thinker, boys
Right.
need to be interactive. that is God's unique design for boys. It doesn't mean that girls don't have those same qualities, but tell us more about
Right.
God's unique design and how they're wired with this purpose and strength.
Well, I think that, like we've said, from a young age, they are built to climb a tree a little higher than we would want them to. They're wanting to jump from high places. They like that risk. They want challenge to test themselves. They want to know that they have what it takes. They want to go out and explore and maybe make a fort or, just do something of their own accord. That's their own imagination, their own kingdom, that they're kind of testing their ability to one day conquer those bigger dragons of running a business or leading their family. And if we take that out of them at such a young age, when they're told, nope, you're a burden, you're a problem, you need to sit down over here, struggle through this until we say, all right, you're good enough, you've passed this area. I think something within them starts to believe that it's just wrong, and that's not God's design.
Yeah, yeah, you're so right about that. You say that a boy's success isn't about reshaping him,
Mhm.
but following how he's already wired. Can you unpack that for us?
Yeah, I think for my boys, watching them pursue their interest has really opened my eyes to that. They love reading, they love being outside, being with animals, playing, running, sports, just anything that is full steam ahead energy. So they have the ability to really take on the way God has made them in just a way that's different from just sitting all day in the classroom. One thing that I had in mind is that um, our early brush with the public education system was really just an eye-opening thing where um, our we were told that our boy was just almost like a broken thing that he had tested normal in several different areas. There were no other challenges. It was just speech therapy that we went in for. But we saw early that he was going to be labeled and then put into a system. So we just started from ground zero. We didn't know what we were going to do. We took him out and we just figured it out. We got mentors ahead of us. We loved how they were leading their families, how their boys were growing and being shaped, and we just follow God's path and design.
I love that. And I mean, everyone's experience is different, but I
Mhm,
think you have to pay attention to each child because all my kids
mhm,
are different, right?
mhm.
All the
That's
students
right.
that I taught were different. And I love that you say we don't need to reshape them. We need to go
Yes.
with how God's made them.
Mhm.
I love that you said boys, they love to take risks, they love adventure, they love a challenge. Why is
Yes.
that actually so essential? Like, what happens to boys when they don't get that kind of opportunity or space to explore?
I think they end up taking it out in other areas. Like video games are so alluring. They give rewards, they give challenges, and boys feel like if they've sat there a few hours that they've overcome the next level in the video game, but it's just a virtual world. It's a digital trap almost. Boys were made for that affirmation to be tested and challenged and take good risk, but it's in real life scenarios, working hard, building their strength as protectors one day. I always tell my boys, you're going to be strong. Use your strength to protect and serve. We want boys to be able to know that good work is worth doing just for the sake of the own reward of it's good work, right? We want them to have good character and integrity, and we want them to be able to lead others. And it can start really simply, like leading your siblings, taking on responsibility and chores, reading really good books together and talking about it. There's so much to explore and build and conquer for boys, just even within the family unit and the family system.
What would you say to a mom right now that feels like they're ready to, can I just say, tear their hair out or they're at their last straw? I know you've never been there, but
No.
let's just imagine. What do you say to that mom? They've got this energetic boy or boys. What do you do with all that energy?
Yeah, I think it is harder to be patient, but it's such a good thing. I remember one time I was helping my son write a story, and he was bouncing on the bed right behind me here. Every thought that he dictated to me as I typed his story, he was bouncing. And I thought, oh man, this is such a trial. But I realized he was in total sync with his thoughts as he was telling me this story. Later, when we were helping him with a lot of memorization for schoolwork, I got him a bounce ball, and he was just bouncing the ball as he was thinking through his work, and he was singing back the memory songs. Also, I've heard some parents say they even bounce on the big exercise balls when you're working together. And then again, taking those short breaks, just run the driveway and back, or play a game, or make it an activity. I think leaning into how they're wired and working with their energy is what is going to set them free later, that they realize, okay, I do have all this ability and all this built up excitement to conquer, and it's good. And then they know what to do with it later on when it's maybe building a chicken coop or fixing the lawnmower engine. It's going to be good for skills later on.
That is so good. I think every parent needs to get themselves an exercise ball. Maybe they can bounce along with their kids. We'll be right back for more from Rebekah, and we're learning how to raise boys. We'll be right back.
Hey, welcome to The Perspective. Mike Sherbino here. We're glad you're with us.
It's all right here. Watch when you want, where you want.
Well, welcome to The Perspective. I'm Lorie.
Real stories, honest questions, a fresh perspective, right where you are.
Today, take time to relish
The Perspective. Follow, like, share. You're part of the mission.
Well, we're back with Rebekah Lovell, author of Boyhood Resurrected. I just love your whole approach, Rebekah. I know, having boys of my own, the best invention was the trampoline. With it,
Absolutely.
and when my kids were growing up, there was no net around it. Now my grandchildren, we
Mhm.
have a trampoline, and they're all netted in. I'm not nearly as stressed. We had a few incidences, shall I say.
Yes, thank goodness. Trampoline is a lifesaver sometimes.
It definitely is. You talk about family culture, that it plays a really powerful role in shaping a boy's heart. How do simple rhythms in a family, like reading together or spending time outdoors, how does that instill confidence and connection and even build character in boys?
I think boys really want to be assured of their abilities, and that starts out with their love for heroes. I think great stories need to be poured into them from such an early age. I know my husband latched onto some books from his childhood when my boys were just 3 or 4, and he started reading them out loud every evening. It's the great illustrated classics. And it's just stories of old, right? Of brawn and heroism and overcoming obstacles and pushing through challenges and testing strength, and just great adventure out on the open seas or in forests or castles or nights. I mean, it's all the good things that just set a boy's heart on fire. And when mom and dad are reading out loud, boys tend to get excited, especially when dad is reading out loud. Even if he can just make a few minutes at night or a few times a week, it really lets the boys know, hey, reading is cool if dad is doing it. And then we moms read more as we can as well to them. But if their heart is just set on fire with these adventure stories, it starts their imagination in the right direction. Suddenly, when they're out playing in the backyard or in the woods, it's not just their backyard, it's a castle, and they're conquering the dragon, saving the girl, burning down the bad guys fort, whatever it is. It's so good for boys.
Well, I hear you saying it taps into their imagination of
Hmm.
who they can be in life. And a key thing you said there was they need to know that you believe in them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true for girls too, but why is that so critical for boys?
I think because there are future roles as leaders of the family, as protectors of the family, and as providers for the family, they need to know that they have enough, that they measure up, that they're capable, and that they're strong enough. There's going to be hard times when they fail, and that's good. We need to allow them to fail, not always rescue our boys, or they won't always be able to stand on their own 2 feet. But they'll learn that even through failure, they can stand up with their own character and strength to try again, to do it again.
Well, there's another key thing. Don't be rescuing your boys all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
actually, failure can be our greatest lesson. And I
Yeah.
think when we try to rescue our children from even the bully on the playground
Mhm.
to, facing maybe a challenging job as they get older, our message is you can't handle this.
That's right. And that is a dangerous thing for a boy or a young man to believe about themselves. That's a dangerous thing, yeah.
And do you think that us moms have a tendency to overprotect and over rescue?
We do. Yeah. I think that we are more prone to be a helicopter parent, and that is from a place of love. So, moms, give yourself credit. That is okay. You want to rescue and protect and love. But after a certain age, when they can pick themselves up from falling or they've scraped a knee at the playground, we should let them get up on their own and move through that. We should, teach them when is it good to cry and when do we probably not need to cry anymore. We need to be tough in this moment and move on because that is building a future man. And we don't always want him dependent on us or our affirmation as they're getting older and older. We need them independent and strong so that they're leaders.
That's so good, Rebecca. I think the primary message is we believe in our boys, we give them
Mhm.
space to learn and grow. We
Mhm.
remind them that they are capable. And that does matter as they get older. My boys are now fathers, and it's wonderful and rewarding to see how they step into that role in confidence. And I mean, it's not all about us as parents, too. I mean, we have to trust our kids to God.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people watching and they may feel like they failed, like they've already
Mhm.
messed up. You know what I mean? They missed the
Yeah.
window. What would you
Mhm.
say to them?
I say it's not too late. I mean, of course, it's harder to backtrack, but it is not impossible. It can be done. I'd say the first steps, no matter the age of your son, if he's still living under your roof, is just to maybe disconnect from any sources of stress that you feel like is separating the connection between him and you and your husband. So, if it's heavy on video games, if it's a bad group of friends, if it's a certain school environment, maybe explore other options for education. But just know that primarily the family needs to be the biggest influence on your son. And there's going to be some hard days to walk, but little by little, give yourself grace and give your son grace and your husband grace and just take those first good steps together. Lay down the law in a good, simple way, but just pray to God for the strength and the courage to step forward day by day. All right, we're going to cut out screen time a little bit more each day. We're going to read good books together. We're going to work hard together on some good family chores or yard work, and we're going to have some fun together. Let's start a movie night or a game night. Let's start sharing more meals together. Some good eye contact and conversation across the table has always been a really good medicine.
Oh, I think that's so true. And I think the
Mm,
temptation for parents at any age or stage is we have to be sure we're in a healthy place, that we're
mhm.
getting our confidence and our strength from God to parent. We don't have to be
Yeah,
perfect,
that's right.
but you've mentioned the challenge of disciplining boys. Is there advice or final word here about how do we discipline a boy in a way that doesn't tear down his confidence?
Oh, that's very good. Right. Because we don't want to crush their spirit. We want to still know, let them know that they do have an indomitable strength and courage. But we need to let them know that actions have consequences and there's a good, solid right and wrong. And when they step over that line, we have to create good boundaries so that they learn from it. We don't want to overprotect our kids, but we also don't want to squash them because the world is it's a really ugly place out there. We want to discipline them in love and respect so that when they do go out into the world, they're prepared and they're not lacking in any way by being harshly disciplined or just being let to run wild. So it is a healthy balance, like you said, by God's grace and by His strength. We will figure it out day by day.
Well, Rebekah, I love what you shared with us. I would encourage anybody watching to go get the book, Boyhood Resurrected, sold wherever books are sold. And Rebekah, what I hear from you is believe in your boys, remind them that they are made in the image and goodness of God. They
Right.
can be all that God created them to be, and give them space to explore and to play and to discover. Thank you for being with us today. We'll be right back. If you've got some boys, go and get the book. Thank you, Rebekah.
Thank you.
I want to thank you on behalf of all of us at The Perspective for your partnership in this ministry. If you've never supported the ministry, I would invite you to do that today, to go and make a substantial Christmas gift if you're able. And if you're not able, even just to say, hey, you know what, here's $20 or $30 to help you reach our country and the States with the incredible love of the Lord Jesus Christ. Go to theperspective.tv. Click on Donate.
Well, if you've ever waited for anything important, you know how uncomfortable it can be. We don't like waiting. I don't like waiting, not for answers, not for clarity, not for relief. We prefer fast forward, right? Over pause, solutions over silence. But Advent, well, it's a season built on waiting. And today, Joseph teaches us something profound about finding peace even when life does not go according to plan. See, Joseph enters the Christmas story quietly without too much drama or fanfare. He's a good man. He's faithful to the law. He's honorable in character, and he's preparing to marry Mary. He likely had simple dreams, build a life, start a family, work hard, live righteously. But then everything changed in one moment. Mary was found to be pregnant, and Joseph knew the child wasn't his. Imagine this heartache. Imagine the confusion. Imagine the disappointment he must have felt. The wedding plans were underway. His future seemed secure. And suddenly he's thrust into a situation that makes no sense at all. The story certainly looked like scandal. And Joseph bore the emotional weight of trying to respond, well, I think in the most compassionate way he could. Matthew tells us that Joseph considered ending the relationship quietly. That word is so important. Not rushed. He wasn't impulsive. He paused. He reflected. He sat with the disappointment. And it was in that posture of quiet waiting that God came and spoke to him. And the scripture says, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid. And the angel didn't say, don't be angry, don't be confused. He said, do not be afraid. Because, well, fear often fills those empty spaces where understanding is missing, right? Joseph was afraid of what this interruption meant for his future, for his reputation, for his life. And then the angel explained to him, what is conceived in Mary is from the Holy Spirit, the scripture says. What Joseph saw as scandal, God saw as salvation. What looked like an interruption was actually divine intervention. The waiting, the confusion, the disappointment, all of it was part of God's larger story. Joseph's response, it truly is remarkable. He woke up from this dream, from this encounter, and he obeyed. He took Mary as his wife. He stepped into uncertainty. He surrendered all of his expectations, even his reputation, and he trusted God's direction. Joseph didn't get all the answers. He didn't get a roadmap. He got one instruction and the assurance of God being present with him. And that was enough. This story teaches us that, well, waiting is often where God whispers to us. Waiting, it slows us down long enough to actually hear him. Waiting, it becomes this sacred space where our fears are actually confronted, where, well, maybe our pride is softened and our faith is grown. Most of us resist waiting. I know I do. I love things to be done fast and in an efficient manner because, well, actually, we think that waiting means inactivity or maybe helplessness. But waiting in God's presence, it's not passive at all. It's actually purposeful. God uses waiting in our life, in your life, in my life, to prepare us, to actually strengthen us, to get us in alignment with His will and what He's doing. So let me ask you today, where are you waiting today? Are you waiting for maybe a healing? Are you waiting for clarity? Are you waiting for a breakthrough, for restoration, for direction, for maybe that husband or that friend or that child to come home? You don't have to wait in fear or frustration. You can wait with expectation, trusting that, well, God is working even in the silence, in the waiting. Joseph teaches us that peace is not found in having everything go according to plan. In fact, he really had no plan. It's found in trusting God when everything changes, when life doesn't actually make sense. Peace comes by saying, Lord, guide me in the unexpected. I trust you in this waiting. Because while you wait, well, God's at work. And He always works for our good. And if you need encouragement and support while you're waiting, why don't you call our prayer line? We're here for you, 1-855-910-6297. We will pick up the phone. We'll be with you in the waiting. Give us a call.
So I remember a time in my life when I was a teenager when I just felt so filled with hopelessness and brokenness. I had no one that I felt was a real friend and nowhere that I felt that I could turn. And at a desperate time in my life, as I was going through some of the court systems for some of the things I had gotten involved in, I stole a car and it ran away from home. Or my idea was to get across the country and get a job in British Columbia and go and see the world on a boat. And I didn't get very far, but in the back of that car was a book that introduced me to Jesus, and my life was radically transformed in that very moment as I understood that Jesus died on the cross for me, and that was when hope entered my life.
Well, today I was really encouraged to talk to Rebekah and know that it's okay for boys to be active and wild and even adventurous because that's how God has wired boys. So if you're a mom of boys or you have boys in your life, maybe you're a grandma of boys like me, let our boys have some space to create and to build and to be adventurous. And most importantly, whether we have boys or girls in our life, remind them that they are loved by God, that they matter, and that you believe in them. I think that's the best message we can give our kids. Do you need prayer today? Call us at 1-855-910-6297. And we'd love for you to receive our monthly devotional for your best gift to this ministry, like our most recent one. Why don't you give us a call or go to theperspective.tv and we'll send you our monthly devotional to help you day by day as you seek to look to God for help in all the areas of your life. Thanks for watching today. Know that you're deeply loved.